With the reboot of the original story coming through the Boom Studios comic book series titled Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in 2016, my passion for the story and the characters was reignited. After enjoying the comics so much, my first thought was I need to play a decent Power Rangers game. I discovered Power Rangers Battle for the Grid was being released in 2019. Now, while this turned out to be a solid game with what was a surprisingly very cool story, which we will briefly cover in this video, it did not fulfill my need for a proper Power Rangers game. So let's look at what would make the perfect Rangers game, and why now is the perfect time for it. So the story loosely mirrors elements of the Shattered Grid storyline from the comic books, which is something that really excited me, as Lord Drakkon, who we will get into in a minute, is the coolest thing Power Rangers have ever done in my opinion. So, to give you all a quick backstory on the main villain of this story, Lord Drakkon is a tyrannical, older version of Tommy Oliver, the original Green Ranger, who hails from an alternate reality where he reigned over a technologically advanced, dystopian Angel Grove as its oppressive ruler with his army of Ranger sentries. After conquering his own Earth, he turned his attention to the entire Morphin Grid. The story begins in an alternate universe, where Lord Drakkon and Rita Repulsa are mid-exchange, as the two discuss their current plans of taking over the Morphin Grid. Once things become heated, Lord Drakkon stabs Rita in the heart with a dragon dagger, killing her in the process. Back in the main timeline, Kimberly, Jason and Tommy are in the midst of a training session at the command center. After Jason leaves, Tommy and Kimberly make plans to watch a movie that evening. Suddenly, Lord Drakkon, followed by Mastodon sentries, storm the command center. After a fight breaks out, Drakkon uses the Green Ranger power to kill Tommy, leaving Kimberly heartbroken. As Kimberly mourns Tommy's death, the rest of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers arrive back at the command center. Jen Scott soon appears to save them all, informing the Rangers of Drakkon and the danger he poses. Elsewhere in the Mystic Forest, the Mystic Rangers are the victims of an attack by Drakkon's forces. Udonna is the only one left to fight back. After being defeated by an alternate version of Goldar, she flees into the forest. In Hardwood County, Drakkon targets the Mega Rangers and their powers, with Gia Moran as the last one standing. She is almost defeated by Drakkon until Kat Manx comes to the rescue. However, she is not successful, and is summoned back to base by Anubis Doggy Kruger. Drakkon puts Gia under a mind control spell. Meanwhile, Mike Corbett visits Lord Drakkon's throne room in an effort to thwart Drakkon's efforts. However, Drakkon defeats Mike as the Magna Defender and puts him under the same mind control spell as Gia. Then, in the Cenozoic era, Goldar and the Mastodon sentries travel to collect more Morphers. Cenozoic Blue Ranger is the next victim to these attacks, and like Gia and Mike is put under mind control. Not long after, Trini, wearing Black Dragon armor, comes to defend against Goldar and the sentries. While she is able to subdue the threat, it's too late to save the Blue Ranger. Then Jen, along with Jason and Lauren Sheba, regroup with Trini. The four of them each split up, with Jason and Trini's goal being to save as many Rangers as possible. Jason and Trini travel to the Mystic Forest and meet Udonna, who at first mistakes them as enemies. But once they settle their differences, a distress call comes from Corinth, as they are needed straight away. In doing so, the Battle of Corinth takes place. Despite their efforts, the resistance falls. Dr. K and the other Rangers are teleported to the command center. The Ranger Slayer then announces to the resistance that in an earlier fight with Kimberly, a mind control spell over her was broken. Once again able to think for herself, the Ranger Slayer joins the Power Rangers against Drakkon. In case you don't know, the Ranger Slayer is the alternate timeline version of Kimberly. The second act then ends with Zordon and Doggy Kruger traveling to the Rita Repulsa of their universe. The two ask for help as they fear Drakkon's interference with the Morphin Grid could destroy the whole of existence. As Rita laughs off the threat, Zordon informs Rita that Drakkon killed her in another timeline. Before she can give an answer, the screen goes black with the text on screen reading, "To be continued." Then Jason makes a speech to all surviving Rangers. Phantom Ranger, Kat Manx, Lauren Coda, Trini, Trey of Triforia, Jen, Doggy, Zane, Zach, Wesley Collins, Udonna, among others, saying that they will never give up the fight against Drakkon, proclaiming, "We are the Power Rangers." Trini, Kat and Trey fight against Mike and Gia, who are still under Drakkon's spell. The spirit of the original Magna Defender manages to help Mike break free of the spell, and he joins the other Rangers in battling Drakkon's forces. Meanwhile, Doggy and Rita sneak into Drakkon's throne room, where Rita uses a candle to drain Drakkon's powers. Drakkon then sees the Ranger Slayer has betrayed him and joined the good side. Then, using the Black Dragon armor, Trini topples Drakkon's antenna tower, causing the Ranger sentries to lose their powers. As the two Kimberlys take on Drakkon, Rita plans to finish him off, but Finster 5 stops them using Zed's staff to save his master, who kills him after trying to stop him taking more energy from the Morphers he stole. As Draken is about to use Morphers he stole to gain more power, Tommy appears and tries to talk Draken out of his plans. This fails, which leads to a battle between Draken and the Green Ranger. The Green Ranger tries once again to get Draken to listen to reason, to which Draken says, "I would rather die." Refusing to demorph, Draken begins overloading from the grid energy. Tommy calls Alpha to get everyone out of Draken's world before he explodes. Mere moments after everyone teleports, Draken does in fact explode, ending the storyline. Then back in the main universe, Tommy reflects on Draken becoming evil and worries about himself possibly being weak enough to be the same. The Ranger Slayer tells him that Draken was always alone and trusted no one. Tommy has his friends with him to keep his head on straight. As the rest of the Rangers join them, Tommy thanks his friends for being there for him. Now, while this is a great game, at the end of the day, it's just another fighting game. Albeit a pretty good one, with a fairly simple way of telling the story through mostly art and voiceovers, or text you have to read on screen. A little disappointing from a universe that has so much to give, especially with a villain like Draken. So what do we need from a Power Rangers game? It doesn't have to be open world. A fairly linear, level-based game would work just fine. It would be extremely important that it features some kind of inter-reality story so that we can feature all the different Power Ranger teams. Because that was one of the cooler features of Battle for the Grid. But also, you are going to upset some sets of fans if it only revolves around one team. But let's be honest, if it needs to be one, it would have to be the original Mighty Morphin team. Now just imagine a game where you can choose between multiple Rangers to play as, upgrading your weapons and your armor, and even cooler, your Zords. Something similar to other hero games such as the recent Avengers game, but even better. Just as I said at the start of the video, Power Rangers is a huge universe with so much lore, and a big, full game gives so much opportunity to explore it. Not only that, but similar to games from the Star Wars universe, it appeals massively to both a child and adult market, which in my opinion is why Star Wars games sell so well. The adult fanbase is just as big as the child fanbase. For those of you that don't know, there is a huge adult market out there for Power Ranger collectors and cosplayers, and it's great. Finally then, I want to add why this is such a good time to release a full game like this. If you don't know, Hasbro recently bought the rights to Power Rangers for over $500 million. Their plans include releasing a cinematic universe similar to that of Marvel, where they'll have movies and TV shows that intertwine. It makes perfect sense to have a video game that goes alongside it. The things that you can do in video games, you can't really do storytelling-wise on screen, so I think it would be silly not to do it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do we need a full Power Rangers game? What features would you like to see included? Let us know in the comments down below. As always guys, I really hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great day. May the power protect you, and I will see you next time on The Sixth Ranger.